Stop! Before you spend an old Lincoln wheat penny, take a close look at the date, because the coin sitting in your hand may look like nothing more than an old 1-cent piece, but the date, mint mark, condition, and even the smallest detail can completely change its collector value. Today we are looking at 5 Lincoln wheat cents from 1946, 1951, 1953, 1957, and 1958. Now I want to be completely honest with you. Not every old wheat penny is worth hundreds or thousands of dollars. In fact, many circulated examples are worth only a small amount above face value. But that does not mean you should spend every old penny without checking it first. Because the real question is not simply how old is this coin. The real question is, what makes this particular coin different? Is it the mint mark? Is it the condition? Is it the original red color? Is there a rare variety or genuine mint error? These are the details that can separate an ordinary old penny from a coin that collectors actually want. So let's begin with the first coin, 1946 Lincoln wheat cent. The first coin is the 1946 Lincoln wheat cent. This penny was made just after the end of World War II, making it part of an important period in American history. The United States was moving into the post-war era, and the Lincoln wheat cent was still being produced with its famous wheat reverse. At first glance, a 1946 penny may look like just another old copper coin, but collectors know that the date alone is not enough to determine value. The mint mark is extremely important. A 1946 cent can be found from different U.S. mint facilities, and the mint mark can help determine exactly which issue you have. A 1946 penny with no mint mark is different from one carrying a D or S mint mark. Then comes the condition. A heavily worn 1946 penny may be worth only a modest premium, but a coin with sharp details, clean surfaces, and original red color can be much more desirable. This is why you should never clean an old coin. Do not use vinegar. Do not use polish. Do not scratch the surface to make it shiny. Collectors usually prefer original surfaces, and cleaning can permanently damage the coin's value. 1951 Lincoln wheat cent. Now let's move to the 1951 Lincoln wheat cent. This is another fascinating post-war wheat penny. By 1951, the Lincoln cent had already been part of American life for more than 4 decades. Millions of 1951 cents were produced, which means the date alone does not automatically make every example rare. But here is where the story becomes interesting. A 1951 cent in ordinary circulated condition may have a relatively modest value. However, high-grade examples can be much more valuable. PCGS price guide data shows how dramatically the value can change depending on grade and color. For example, high-grade red 1951 examples can reach into the hundreds of dollars in the guide, while lower-grade examples are worth much less. So when looking at a 1951 penny, do not just ask, is it old? Ask, does it still have strong detail? Does it have original color? Is the surface free from major damage? And what mint mark does it carry? 1951 pennies can have the exact same date and still have completely different values. That is one of the most important lessons in coin collecting. 1953 Lincoln wheat cent. The third coin is the 1953 Lincoln wheat cent. By this time, the wheat cent had already been in production for more than 40 years. The design was familiar to millions of Americans. The front showed Abraham Lincoln. The reverse showed the famous wheat ears. But decades of circulation meant that many 1953 cents became heavily worn. Look closely at the coin. Are Lincoln's hair details still visible? Are the letters sharp? Can you clearly see the wheat lines on the reverse? The better the details, the more interesting the coin becomes to collectors. A normal circulated 1953 cent is generally not considered a major rarity, simply because of its date. But a high-grade example with beautiful original color can be significantly more desirable. This is why coin collectors carefully examine old pennies that other people might ignore. The coin may look ordinary to one person, but another collector may immediately notice the condition, color, or variety. A 1957 Lincoln wheat cent. Now we come to the 1957 Lincoln wheat cent. This coin is especially interesting because it belongs to the final years of the famous wheat reverse design. The wheat cent would soon disappear. In 1959, the reverse design changed to the Lincoln Memorial. So when you hold a 1957 wheat penny, you are looking at a coin from the final chapter of one of America's most famous coin designs. But remember, being old does not automatically make a coin rare. Many 1957 cents were produced and ordinary circulated examples are generally not extremely valuable. However, condition can completely change the picture. According to PCGS price guide data, high-grade 1957 examples, especially coins with strong red color, can carry significantly higher values than ordinary worn examples. The guide shows that certified examples can range from modest amounts to much higher prices at exceptional grades. So if you find a 1957 wheat cent that looks unusually clean and sharp, do not immediately spend it. Take a closer look. 958 Lincoln wheat cent. And now we reach the final coin in this group, the 1958 Lincoln wheat cent. This date is historically important because it is one of the final regular years of the classic wheat reverse design. After 1958, the wheat ears were gone. The Lincoln Memorial reverse took their place. That makes 1958 an important date for collectors who enjoy the history of American coin design. But once again, the date alone does not guarantee a fortune. A normal circulated 1958 wheat cent is usually not a $1 million coin. In fact, PCGS guide values for ordinary 1958 examples are generally much lower than the dramatic claims often seen in online videos. However, high-grade examples in certain varieties can be worth more. This is why serious collectors examine every detail. They look for mint marks, high-grade condition, original red color, unusual doubling, varieties, and genuine mint errors. But be careful. A scratch is not automatically a mint error. A damaged coin is not automatically rare. And machine doubling is not the same as a genuine doubled die. This is why valuable coins should be carefully examined and, when necessary, professionally authenticated. So what are these coins really worth? Now let's answer the question many people want to know. How much can these coins actually be worth? The honest answer is it depends heavily on the exact coin. A worn, circulated example of these dates may be worth only a small premium over 1 cent. A better example may be worth several dollars. A high-grade certified coin with excellent original color may be worth tens or even hundreds of dollars. And a truly exceptional coin with a rare variety or genuine error can be worth considerably more. But the exact value cannot be determined from the date alone. This is why I would never tell you that every 1946, 1951, 1953, 1957, or 1958 wheat penny is worth thousands or millions of dollars. That would not be honest. The real value comes from the combination of date, mint mark, condition, color, variety, and authenticity. And that is exactly what makes coin collecting so exciting. You never know what you might find until you actually look. So the next time you find an old Lincoln wheat penny, do not immediately throw it into your spending jar. Turn it over. Check the date. Look for the mint mark. Study the condition. Look for unusual details. And never clean the coin. Because even if it is not a rare fortune coin, it is still a real piece of American history. The 5 dates we looked at today, 1946, 1951, 1953, 1957, and 1958, all belong to the classic Lincoln wheat cent era. Some examples are common, some are more collectible, and the best examples can command much higher prices than ordinary circulated coins. So if you have one of these old pennies in your collection, do not spend it before checking it carefully, because the difference between an ordinary penny and a valuable collectible may be hidden in the smallest detail. And that is the reason why collectors continue searching through old jars, inherited collections, boxes, and forgotten coins. Because sometimes the coin that everyone else ignores is the coin that deserves a second look. So tell me in the comments which one of these 5 Lincoln wheat cents do you have? 1946, 1951, 1953, 57, or 958? And before you spend it, make sure you check the date, the mint mark, and the condition. You may be holding history in the palm of your hand. Because the small copper coin sitting in your hand may look like nothing more than an old 1-cent piece. It may be scratched. It may be dark. It may be worn from decades of circulation. And it may look completely ordinary. But here is something every coin collector learns sooner or later. The date is only the beginning of the story. Today we are looking at 5 Lincoln wheat pennies dated 1946, 1951, 1953, 1957, and 1958. At first glance, these coins may seem like simple old pennies, but every one of them belongs to a fascinating period of American history. Every one of them was struck during a different moment in the story of the United States. and every one of them can have a different value depending on details that most people never notice. The mint mark, the condition, the color, the surface, the strike, the variety, and sometimes a tiny mistake made at the United States Mint. That tiny detail can be the difference between an ordinary coin and a collectible that attracts serious attention. But let me make one thing clear before we go any further. Not every old wheat penny is worth thousands of dollars. Not every 1946 penny is rare. Not every 1951 penny is a fortune. Not every 1953, 1957, or 1958 penny is worth millions. Real coin collecting does not work that way. The actual value of a coin depends on the exact example in front of you. Two coins can have the same date and still have completely different values. One may be heavily worn and worth only a small premium. The other may have brilliant original color, sharp details, a high grade, and a rare variety, and that coin can be worth dramatically more. That is why you should never look at an old penny and immediately say, it is only 1 cent. Sometimes, the most important clues are hidden in the smallest details. And today we are going to examine these 5 dates one by one. We will look at their history. We will talk about what collectors actually search for. We will discuss what can make the value go up. We will talk about what can make the value go down. And most importantly, we will separate real coin information from the exaggerated claims that often appear online. You are looking at a coin that was made during a time of enormous change. But now comes the question everyone wants to know. How much is a 1946 Lincoln wheat cent worth? The honest answer is, it depends. A common circulated example may only be worth a small premium above face value. If the coin is heavily worn, scratched, damaged, or corroded, collectors may not pay a large amount for it, but the value can change if the coin has desirable characteristics. The first thing you should check is the mint mark. Different U.S. mint facilities produced Lincoln cents. Some coins carry a mint mark, others do not. The mint mark can help identify where the coin was produced. On a Lincoln wheat cent, the mint mark is located below the date on the obverse. This is a small area, and because the coin may be worn, the mint mark can sometimes be difficult to see. That is why you should use good lighting. Do not scratch the coin. Do not scrape dirt away. Simply examine the area carefully. A 1946 cent from one mint can have different collector interest from a 1946 cent from another mint. But remember, a mint mark alone does not automatically make a coin rare. This is a mistake many new collectors make. They see a mint mark and immediately assume the coin is valuable. The truth is more complicated. Collectors also consider how many coins were produced, how many survived, what condition are they in, are there important varieties, are there unusual errors, and how strong is the collector demand. All of these factors matter. Now let's talk about condition. Imagine two 1946 Lincoln wheat cents. The first coin has spent decades in circulation. The date is visible, but the surface is worn. Lincoln's hair details are weak. The wheat lines on the reverse are mostly gone. The coin has scratches and dark spots. The second coin was stored carefully. The design is sharp. The surfaces are clean. The original copper color is still visible. The coin has very little wear. Both coins have the same date, but they are not equal. Collectors may value the second coin far more. This is because coin grading is one of the most important parts of numismatics. A coin's grade describes its condition. A heavily worn coin is very different from an uncirculated coin. Even small differences in condition can make a significant difference in value. And copper color matters too. Collectors often describe copper coins as brown, red-brown, or red. A coin that has naturally retained a bright original. Red color can be especially desirable. But be careful. Some people try to make old copper coins look brighter by cleaning them. This is a terrible idea. If you take an old wheat penny and polish it, you may remove the original surface. The coin may look shiny to your eyes, but collectors may see the damage immediately. A cleaned coin can be worth less than an original coin. So if you find a 1946 wheat cent, the best thing to do is simple. Handle it by the edges, keep the surface untouched, store it safely, and examine it carefully. Now let's talk about errors. A genuine mint error can sometimes increase a coin's value, but not every strange mark is an error. A scratch is not a mint error. A dent is not a mint error. Damage from a machine is not automatically a mint error. A true mint error must have been created during the minting process. This is why authentication can be important. If you believe your 1946 penny has an unusual feature, Compare it with known examples and consider professional evaluation. Now, what is the realistic value of a 1946 Lincoln wheat cent? For an ordinary circulated example, the value may be modest. For a better condition example, the value can be higher. For a high-grade, professionally certified example, the value can rise substantially. And for a rare variety or genuine error, the value can be different again. The key lesson is this: do not judge a 1946 penny by the date alone. Look at the entire coin, because the most valuable clue may be something you almost missed. Coin number 2, the 1951 Lincoln wheat centy. Now let's move to the second coin, the 1951 Lincoln wheat cent. This coin comes from another important period in American history. The United States was entering the 1950s. The country was changing rapidly. Technology was advancing. American industry was expanding. And the Lincoln wheat cent remained one of the most common coins in everyday life. Millions of people carried these coins in their pockets. Children collected them. Families saved them. And some were placed into coin jars and forgotten. More than 70 years later, some of those coins are still being discovered. But again, the important question is, what makes one 1951 penny more valuable than another? The answer begins with the mint mark. A 1951 Lincoln cent can come from different mints. The mint mark is located beneath the date. If you are examining a 1951 penny, always check this area carefully. A small letter can tell you a lot about the coin's origin. But the mint mark is only one part of the story. The condition is just as important. A 1951 penny that has been heavily circulated may show extensive wear. Lincoln's hair may be smooth. The cheek may have marks. The lettering may be worn. The wheat stalks may lack detail. A coin like this may have only modest collector value, but a coin that remained in excellent condition can be much more interesting. This is where grading becomes important. Professional graders examine coins carefully. They consider the amount of wear, the quality of the strike, the condition of the surfaces, the color, the presence of scratches or damage, and the overall appearance. A high-grade 1951 wheat cent can be dramatically more desirable than a common circulated example. This is why a collector may be willing to pay a premium for a coin that looks almost perfect. But there is another detail that matters with copper coins: color. When a copper coin is first produced, it has a bright reddish appearance. Over time, exposure to air and the environment can change the surface. The coin may become brown. Some coins become a mixture of red and brown. Others preserve much of their original red color. Collectors often consider this when evaluating copper cents. A 1951 cent with beautiful original red color and excellent preservation can be much more desirable than a dark, heavily worn example. But once again, do not try to create that appearance yourself. Do not use chemicals. Do not use metal polish. Do not rub the surface. A coin's original condition is part of its history, and collectors value originality. Now let's talk about the possibility of varieties. Lincoln cents are famous for their varieties. Sometimes the dies used to strike coins developed unusual characteristics. Sometimes the design was doubled during the die-making process. Sometimes a mint mark was repunched. Sometimes a die crack appeared. And sometimes the production process created an unusual error. But identifying these features requires care. The internet is filled with photographs of supposed rare coins. Many of them are not actually rare. Some are simply damaged. Some have machine doubling. Some have normal die wear. And some are simply common coins being sold with exaggerated descriptions. This is why real collectors compare their coins with reliable references. If a coin appears to have a genuine variety, professional authentication may be worthwhile. Now, what about the value of a 1951 Lincoln wheat cent? A common circulated example may be worth only a modest amount. The coin looks dark. The surface is worn. At first you might think it is worthless, but then you notice something unusual near the lettering. You compare it with other coins. You look at the mint mark. You examine the surface, and suddenly you realize that the coin may deserve a closer look. This is exactly why old coin hunting can be so exciting. You never know what you might find. But you also need to remain realistic. Most coins will not be extremely rare. Most old pennies will not make you rich. But the search itself is part of the fun. And occasionally, a truly unusual coin can be discovered. Coin number 4, the 1957 Lincoln wheat cent. Now we come to the 1957 Lincoln wheat cent. This coin is special because it belongs to the final years of the wheat cent era. The famous wheat reverse was nearing the end of its long history. For almost 50 years, the design had been part of American coinage. But change was coming. In 1959, the reverse would be replaced by the Lincoln Memorial design. That means the 1957 penny belongs to the final chapter of the classic wheat cent story. This gives the coin historical interest, but again, historical interest does not automatically mean extreme rarity. Many 1957 cents were produced. Many survived, and many are still available to collectors today. The key is condition. A worn 1957 cent may have only a modest value, but a coin that survived with sharp details and original color can be much more desirable. This is particularly important for copper coins. The color can tell part of the story. A coin with original red color may have been protected from the environment. A brown coin may have experienced more natural toning over time. Either color automatically makes a coin valuable, but collectors consider it along with the grade. Now let's imagine two 1957 pennies. One is dark brown. The wheat lines are weak. Lincoln's hair is smooth. The surface contains scratches. The other is bright. The details are sharp. The surfaces are clean. The coin has strong original color. Both coins are 1957, but collectors may view them very differently. This is why professional grading can be useful for exceptional examples. A professional grade provides an independent opinion about the coin's condition, but grading is not always necessary for common worn coins. You have to consider the potential value of the coin. The coin is worth only a small amount. Professional grading may not be economically practical. If the coin appears to be extremely rare or unusually valuable, authentication can be a smart decision. And now we come to the final coin. Coin number 5, the 1958 Lincoln wheat cent. The 1958 Lincoln wheat cent is one of the most historically interesting coins in this group. Why? Because the wheat reverse was about to disappear. For decades, Americans had seen the wheat ears on the back of the Lincoln cent. But after 1958, the design changed. The Lincoln Memorial appeared on the reverse. The classic wheat cent era was over. This makes the 1958 coin an important part of American coin history. But again, we must separate history from rarity. A coin can be historically important without being extremely rare. Millions of 1958 cents were produced, so a normal circulated 1958 penny is not automatically a fortune. However, collectors still examine these coins carefully. Why? Because high-grade examples can be desirable, and because varieties and errors can change the value. One of the most important lessons in coin collecting is this: the same date can have many different values. A heavily worn 1958 cent may be worth a small premium. A nice uncirculated example may be worth more. A top-grade coin with excellent original color may be worth significantly more, and a rare variety can be worth a different amount entirely. But you should never trust a dramatic claim without verification. If someone says an ordinary 1958 penny is worth millions, ask, why? What is the exact variety? What is the grade? Has it been authenticated? Where did it sell? Was the sale verified? Real coin values are based on evidence. Because the date alone is not enough. A coin collector does not simply pick up a penny. Look at the year and decide its value. The process is much more detailed. The first thing is the date. The second thing is the mint mark. The third thing is the condition. Then comes the color, the surface, the strike, the variety, and the possibility of a genuine error. Every one of these details can affect the final value. And this is why two coins that look almost identical to a beginner can have completely different prices in the collector market. Check the mint mark first. When examining a Lincoln wheat cent, one of the first things you should check is the mint mark. The mint mark tells you which United States mint facility produced the coin. On these Lincoln wheat cents, the mint mark is located below the date on the front of the coin. Depending on the year, you may see a letter such as D or S, or there may be no mint mark. A coin with no mint mark was generally produced at the Philadelphia Mint during many years of the wheat cent series. A coin with a D mint mark was produced at Denver. A coin with an S mint mark was produced at San Francisco. But here is something important. A mint mark does not automatically make a coin rare. Many collectors see a letter and immediately think they have discovered a valuable coin. That is not how the market works. The mint mark must be studied together with the date. Some dates were produced in enormous numbers. Other dates had lower production. Some mint issues are more difficult to find in high grades, and some specific mint mark varieties can be particularly interesting. That is why you should always identify the exact coin before estimating its value. Why cleaning can destroy value. Now let's talk about one of the biggest mistakes new collectors make: cleaning old coins. Imagine finding an old wheat penny. It is dark. It has dirt on the surface. You decide to make it shiny. You use a cloth. Maybe you use a chemical. The final message. So let's go back to the beginning. You find an old penny. It looks dirty. It looks worn. You think, it is only 1 cent. But then you look again. You see the date. You see the wheat ears. You notice that the coin was made decades ago. You begin to wonder where it has been. Maybe someone carried it in their pocket in 1946. Maybe it was used in a store during the 1950s. Maybe it was placed in a drawer and forgotten. Maybe it was passed from one generation to another. And now, decades later, it is in your hands. That is what makes old coins special. They are not just pieces of metal. They are pieces of history. The 1946 Lincoln wheat cent connects us to the post-war era. The 1951 Lincoln wheat cent represents early 1950s America. The 1953 Lincoln wheat cent comes from the middle of the wheat cent era. The 1957 Lincoln wheat cent belongs to the final years of the famous design. And the 1958 Lincoln wheat cent represents the end of the classic wheat reverse. 5 coins, 5 dates, 5 pieces of American history, and each one deserves a closer look. So the next time you find an old Lincoln wheat penny, do not spend it immediately. Check the date. Check the mint mark. Look at the condition. Look for unusual details. And most importantly, do not clean it, because you never know what you may be holding. Maybe it is a common coin. Maybe it is worth only a small premium. Or maybe it has a rare characteristic that makes collectors take notice. The only way to know is to check.